Hey, everybody. You are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Giant. Enjoy the movie. 14-year-old big guy Maxwell Kane constantly catches surprised looks. He studies in the 7th grade and looks like Godzilla next to his classmates. Plus, he's been suspended twice. He is harassed by a local gang with a leader nicknamed Blades, who is famous for having served 3 months in juvenile detention. Hooligans hum a song that Max's father is a murderer and his son turned out to be completely brainless. The boy is being raised by his grandparents. Their new neighbors, a mother and her son, have moved in. 12-year-old Kevin is a young genius with Morquio syndrome. The boy built a mechanical bird with flapping wings and launched it into the sky. Max noticed his neighbor's severely curved spine and the metal structure on his legs. Kevin scared the neighbor away and the big guy ran home. The gym teacher also mocks Max and calls him a Neanderthal. Kevin came into the gym, Blades rolled a ball under his feet and the boy collapsed on the floor. The scoundrel lied that it was Max and the coach suspended the underdog. The man ordered him to help the invalid up, but Kevin refused such help. On the weekend, Max fixes up the house with his grandfather and visits the school to tighten up his reading, and it so happens that his new teacher will be the sarcastic Kevin. Since Max didn't bring a book with him, the little teacher gave him his own to read, about the adventures of King Arthur. The big guy can barely read syllables. Kevin suggested that he close his eyes and visualize what he is about to hear. Every word and sentence is a picture and Max's imagination must connect them. Leaving, Kevin gave the student the task to read the first chapter by tomorrow, and he had to do it if he wanted to pass to the 8th grade. Only now did Max admit that he wasn't the one who threw the ball. Max couldn't even get through the first chapter in 3 days, but Kevin was patient. Dinosaurs had brains like walnuts, and they ruled the world for millions of years, so Max shouldn't be upset either. Kevin offered his student $5 if he would take him to the river festival to watch the fireworks. His mom won't let him go anywhere alone, and he only knows Max here. When the hooligans saw the couple, they started making offensive jokes, but the young genius beat them verbally, and to avoid reprisals, he fled to the fairgrounds. Max was scared. He knows that it's better not to mess with these guys, but Kevin was disappointed in his friend. He thought Kane would be able to take on the hooligans. Unfortunately, the boy, instead of fireworks, can only look at other people's feet, so Max put him on his shoulders so that the two of them could enjoy the bright performance. But the good mood faded away when the couple found themselves surrounded by hooligans. Max was already mentally prepared for the worst, but then Kevin kicked him and he ran like a horse. The boy kicked his bipedal vehicle on the head, pointing in the direction they managed to get in front of the children's train. But there's nowhere else to run, there's a pond ahead. Blades pulled out a knife, and Kevin commanded his horses to go into the water. Blades also did not intend to stop and waited after the fugitives. At one point, the big guy's feet got stuck in ore and he almost went down. Blade was in the same situation. He had to go back to shore, where the police had just arrived. The guys managed to escape. Seeing that Max was brought home by the police, Grandpa thought that he had followed in the footsteps of the criminal's father. However, when the neighbor Gwen came to the house, she thanked Max for saving her son. The policeman also said a couple of nice words. The grandfather poured strong coffee instead of milk and praised him for protecting the invalid. Kevin woke him up early in the morning. It's time for the night to perform new feats and noticed that the neighbor is kept in the dungeon for some reason. Max is going to return the $5. He doesn't want friends who cause trouble. But Kevin suggested that they view their relationship not as a friendship, but as a partnership. One needs legs and the other needs brains. Kevin no longer waddles on crutches, but sits on the shoulders of his giant partner. This is how they move around the city, surprising the locals. In the cafe, some rascal was harassing a girl. Kevin ordered his friend to protect her. Max ordered the man to get out of here, and he didn't bother the big guy. The big guy turned on his imagination. He saw himself walking among the other knights. Sir Minnie was eating all the food Gwen had prepared. According to him, his grandmother does not cook so well, but Kevin better not hurry. He can easily choke on it. Gopniks continued their rampage. They stole a wallet and threw it into the sewer. Kevin notices this and comes to Max at night. They have to get the treasure that the bandits took from the Duchess. Kevin used a fire escape to use a rope to lift the sewer manhole. Now Max has to go down and retrieve the treasure from the sewage. Not even though the big guy pulled out his wallet, inside was a few $100. At this point they were surrounded by juvenile thugs. Max asked his friends to give them the wallet, but the little brave man refused because the knight fights for good and justice. Kevin climbed up to the second floor and Blade got the chain. Finally, Max decided to use force. He grabbed a heavy hatch and began to fight back with it like a shield, and then threw it at the frightened hooligans. They had no choice but to run away. Heroes are going to give the Duchess her treasure. They were opened by a drunken shabby lady and, taking the purse, dragged the couple into the apartment. Max reminds me of someone, and it's definitely Kenny Kane's son. They were sitting with her roommate Iggy. Loretta remembers that Max was a witness at his father's trial. Apparently, he never learned to talk since then. Max gets angry and runs away, ripping the lock off the chain. Kevin tries to find out what's wrong, but his friend asks him to leave him alone. The neighbor brings him a lot of trouble, but Kevin's father was a magician. When he heard the words defects at birth, he immediately disappeared, but he didn't care who his father was. The main thing is that he is not like that and Max is not like his father. The friends came to the medieval museum. The couple approached the Knights of the Round Table. Kevin took a sword and labeled himself a freak and his friend a giant. They never parted again at school, including in the gym. However, according to the rules, students with health problems like Kevin's are forbidden to play sports, but Gwen persuaded the principal to let her son attend gym class. Max made Kevin feel like a normal boy, and for the first time he looked really happy. When the couple turned out to be a real giant, the whole class cheered for them, and here Frick got a pass and put his first ball in the basket. One day his father sent Max another letter, but his grandmother immediately threw it away. The boy was called by the principal and told that today his father was released on bail. Max immediately had a panic attack. He even fell off his chair. Grandpa spent the evening cleaning his gun. Kenny Kane only served 9 years out of 30. What kind of justice is this? But his wife reassures him, if Kenny comes within 5 miles of their house or Max's, he's right back behind bars. The perp killed their daughter, Max's mom. The boy became nervous. He demanded his friend to take his time eating noodles, but the boy instead began to amuse his classmates and stuff food into his mouth. At one point he choked and fell off his chair. The giant immediately ran over to him and called for help. Kevin lies in the hospital, hooked up to life support. When Quan came out of the room, he called his friend over to him and pointed to the doctor who looked like Spock from Star Trek. Max laughed at first, but then couldn't hold back his tears. The doctor told Gwen that her son's life is out of danger now, but the disease is progressing. The thing is that if the bones have stopped growing, the internal organs have not. He has about a year to live. The unhappy mother snapped at the coffee machine. Naive Max promises that everything will be fine. Next time he'll make sure Kevin doesn't eat noodles so fast again. Frick made it through another 2 weeks in the hospital. The doctor had forbidden him to go camping like he used to, but sometimes the friends broke that rule. They approached the bio lab. Kevin says that he is constantly being scanned and analyzed. He assures his friend that soon they will make a genetically improved person out of him, or to put it simply, they will replace his body with a new one. At home, Max finds an old photo and is upset. He worries about how much he resembles his criminal father, but his grandmother convinces him that he will never be like that because he has his mother's heart. At night, Max had a nightmare. He remembered his birthday and then he saw his father in his room. Max wanted to close the window, but then the criminal closed his mouth. He really came back and stole someone's pickup truck and kidnapped his son. Max was paralyzed in the car. The police officers drove themselves to his guardian's house and informed him that Kenny had violated the bail rules. Grandpa checked Max's room and found that he wasn't there. Kevin realized he had to help his friend out, so he broke into his room and found an old photo. In the snow, he found Max's cap and glass shards. The boy guessed that the criminal could go to his former cellmate. Kenny did so. In the apartment, he tied his son to the radiator. The boy will have to sit all night. The man lies to his son about not killing his mom. Meanwhile, Kevin steals his mom's van and slams it into a fence. He used the fallen bumper as a sled because it's still a long way to the high-rise, but during the descent he lost his crutch, and at the end he flew some distance and hit his head on the ground. He had a vision of the Knights of the Round Table. Loretta came to the criminal with pizza, although Iggy promised she wouldn't bother them. The woman, having learned what happened, decided to help the young man and discreetly handed him the wire cutters. But in the meantime, Kevin waddled home and found a car with a broken window next to it. He ran into the young lady in the hallway and asked her to call the police. Kevin heard the perpetrator yelling at his son. Kenny was angry to learn that Max had been here before with some cripple, which meant that kid could bring the police here. As Max tried to get free, he dropped the wire cutters. The bastard realized Loretta had given them to him and jumped on her. Max remembered how his father had strangled his mother before his eyes, and he ripped the radiator off the wall. Father and son clashed, and then Kevin burst into the room. He had come for his brother in arms. The young genius warned the killer that he had pumped sulfuric acid into his water pistol, but Kenya didn't believe him. Kevin was indeed bluffing, but Max entered the fray again. He punched his father and, along with his friend, kicked in the door and flew outside. The cops had already arrived and they grabbed and arrested the criminal. Max looked at his father, probably for the last time in his life. The brave knights celebrated Christmas together, albeit a week late. Until Gwen forgave her son for his prank. Saying goodbye, Kevin gave his friend a book with blank pages. The giant should use his imagination to write his own story. That was the last time Max talked to his friend. At night, an ambulance came to their house, and in the morning his grandmother told Max that Kevin had died in his sleep. The barefoot boy ran through the snow and stopped the ambulance, for the plan was for his friend to get a new biokinetic body soon. Gwen got out of the car and told the young man the truth. Kevin's heart had gotten too big. He knew he was going to die soon. The woman asked Max to go home, but instead the giant ran across town to the medical center. He burst inside the lab and learned that it was actually a laundry room. Max fell to the floor and cried. For days on end, he sat in the basement, so he missed Kevin's funeral. Soon his mom moved out. One day Max did leave his dungeon. At the bus stop he was picked up by Loretta, who had a cast on her neck from her meeting with Kenny. When she heard that Max hadn't done anything all these days, she said that it was too boring to do nothing. Max thought about what she said. In general, he started thinking a lot lately and even started giving answers in class. At home he found Kevin's present and decided to write something. He wrote all winter until he reached the last page. He told about his friend, a brave knight who killed dragons, saved girls, and walked high above the world.